'Cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong. I was so mistaken. 'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.
What's up, Zaid family? Welcome back to another vlog. And today...
Actually, it's not a vlog. It's a sit-down video. Anyways, yeah, welcome back to another sit-down, I guess.
Another sit-down video, story, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, so today we are, as you guys have read the title, talking about our... I could say our labor and delivery story, because it's not just my story. Usama was there too.
I was there, but I was like, plus one kind of situation.
Yeah. So you guys had a lot of questions. I got so many DMs, and we also got a lot of comments of people asking, make a story afterwards, tell us some more details. And so I did a Q&A on my Instagram and asked you guys to leave me questions. If you don't already follow us on Instagram, make sure you guys go and follow us. We will put our Instagram links below in the description so you guys can go ahead and follow. We also made an Instagram for Xyra because a lot of you wanted to show your support on Instagram for her. And so we made an Instagram for her. Her Instagram is Xyra XZ.
The other ones are similar too. We have like Usama Zaid and then we have Sana Zaid. So yeah. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. I'm glad we actually got that name for her on Instagram.
Luckily, yeah.
So anyways, let's move on to the questions that you guys have. There's so many questions. I got over like 300 questions on Instagram.
That was within like an hour or two.
Yeah, and they're still coming in. But we wanted to start the video because we're going to post this tomorrow.
Yeah. And
so yeah, let's get started. We've kind of going to do a rapid question and answer scenario because there's so many questions to go through.
And I feel that I think this is more information for maybe people that are looking to, get pregnant or are in the process. Yeah. And I think if we can just get that information, it might be, pretty useful.
Yeah, we have a lot of people who are watching us who are pregnant themselves or are
thinking about it, fears and all the things that come up when you're thinking about pregnancy, labor pains, and there's a lot of comments, and I've kind of filtered through most of them, and I know the gist of what people are asking, so hopefully we can get through them quickly. Do you think we should tell their names, or should we just hit the question? Because there's a lot of questions, and I feel like let's just get down to it. All right, ready?
Yep.
I feel like we're in like a game show. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so first question, how did you find having a baby during the pandemic? I had a baby in July. It was a very different experience.
So during the pandemic, we had to, number one, the hospital is a lot stricter in terms of who can come with you, and so they only allowed one person, and usually you could have more than one person with you when you go into labor. But because of COVID, they allowed only one person, and that one person can only come with you once you're in the active labor stage. And this is, I'm only speaking for in Canada and Ontario. I don't know about other provinces and other countries, but this is our experience. And the second thing was that we had to wear masks as soon as we entered the hospital, and I had to continue wearing a mask throughout the whole labor process, even during active labor. You were not allowed to remove your masks. That was the second thing. And the third thing was that they also did a COVID test only on me because that was the hospital rule that the patient has to do a COVID test because the nurses and the doctors are going to be touching the patient and have physical contact with them. So he didn't have to do a COVID test, but I did while I was in labor. So that was the 3 things that were different with COVID. Also,
you couldn't go in and out as much. I couldn't, if Sana's mom wanted to come, it's not like I could just go out and she could go in. It doesn't work that way. Otherwise, it was pretty straightforward. You couldn't have family members, obviously no visitors. You can't be roaming around in the hospital. But generally, overall, I think keeping in mind what was happening, it's a little bit expected. Does Xyra also wake up as soon as you put her down in the crib?
Okay, so yeah, she does wake up sometimes when you put her down in the crib, and then you just have to like slowly tap her or take her out again and make her fall completely asleep before putting her back in the crib. But sometimes she's just like already asleep while drinking milk, and then she's like gone, like in deep sleep, and then you just put her anywhere, she's still gonna be sleeping. So
did you get an epidural? I feel for this question, it's a whole array of questions that we're going to get based on what I was looking at. So maybe we can all go through the whole process of why, how was it, all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did I get an epidural? I did get an epidural, and I had already planned on getting an epidural beforehand. I mean, some people don't plan on getting it and then get it at the hospital. It's completely up to the girl up to you to decide if you want an epidural or not. I had planned on getting an epidural, and personally I thought, why not? Because if it's going to relieve me of some pain, then I will definitely take it, and that was my personal choice, and I do not regret it one bit. Once I took the epidural, everything went so smoothly in terms of pain for me. It was totally worth it. And my labor started 2 days before, but it was very slow and it wasn't painful at all. But then when I went into active labor the third day, and like actual labor, and my contractions were coming every 2 minutes, it wasn't even every 4 minutes. That's when you're in active labor. Mine was every 2 minutes. I was out of breath. Like I didn't even have enough time to like breathe and collect myself before the next contraction, and they were pretty hard. And that was going on for a couple of hours, from 3 a.m. to 1 or 2 p.m. till we made it to the hospital and I got my epidural. It was every 2 to 3 minutes my contraction. So I was pretty tired, and I don't think I would have been able to like get myself together and have the energy to completely push her and all that, because it was like till later 8 p.m. is when I was able to start pushing and have her. So the epidural definitely helped me out. I was smooth sailing after the epidural in terms of pain.
What about people always say the risk factors. That's what we were worried about. Like I remember when I was walking the hallways, I was really worried about the pain that you're gonna feel while getting the epidural, right? The procedure itself, and secondly, the issues that might come from getting an epidural. The risks involved.
Yeah, so there's always risks with taking any kind of medication, especially like an epidural. It is not as very light painkiller. It is like a high painkiller. So we already saw the risks, and we decided that we're gonna do it anyways. But I was scared because I heard a lot of stories of women who've gotten epidural, and they said that it hurt a lot while they were doing the procedure. But for me, thankfully, the doctor who did mine did it amazingly. All I felt was like a little pinch, like a regular needle, basically, on my back instead, and then a little bit of pressure when he was like putting the wire up. But that's pretty much it. It was like a pinch and pressure. I didn't feel like pain or anything at that point. You have to understand, my contractions were so painful that that needle was like nothing.
I just want to say here that this is what Sana went through. We've heard stories where women have gotten epidural and it didn't help at all.
It didn't. It didn't help with the pain, or didn't help as much as it helped me. So everybody's experience is personal, and everybody's experience is different than others. And mine went great, alhamdulillah, but some people, it doesn't go so smooth.
Okay, going on to the next one. So congrats. How was the pain of the contractions?
The pain of the contractions, from a scale of 10, I would say like a 9. I wasn't yelling, but it was pretty painful. It was really painful. So the contractions were really bad. I think sometimes, looking back at it, I feel like my contractions were worse than the actual
like the
active labor, when the end process.
Because you had the epidural.
Because I had the epidural, that was the hardest part, to make it to the hospital and to get the epidural.
Yeah. Okay. How does it feel to be a mommy?
It's unreal. I feel like I'm always worried. This is like the mommy feel, too. I guess. Like that's what it feels to be a mom. To be worried.
To be worried, concerned, always thinking about the baby.
Yeah.
I would say in a good way, but obviously it does kill some sleep. Like you'll wake up quite often. Next question: what hospital did you choose to give birth in, and were the doctors and nurses nice?
So we chose Credit Valley Hospital. It is the closest to the area we live in, and I went with a midwife. So the midwife met me at the hospital, and so I didn't have the doctors from the hospital, but they also have their own gynecologist team of like 7 doctors. So if you do decide to go with doctors instead of midwife, those are the people who would be helping you. But later on, once the midwife was done with me, which is like after giving birth and them checking the baby and checking me, they moved me to the hospital recovery unit, and that's where the nurses take over from the midwife, and then they take care of you for 24 hours after giving birth, just to make sure you're okay, your blood pressure is okay. They come check your temperature every like 4 or 5 hours. They also check the baby's temperature, check the baby's heartbeat every 4 or 5 hours within that 24-hour span once the baby is born. They also do a newborn assessment on the baby just to make sure that everything's okay, her hearing's okay and stuff like that, and then they dismiss you. So the nurses were amazing at Credit Valley Hospital. I didn't have to meet the I didn't get to meet the doctor, so I don't know how that is. But.
Yeah, so I guess the further would be like, how do you get a midwife? And I think you can just Google like your local midwife center, at least in Canada here, and then they would help you out to sort of transition from your doctors or gyno to a midwife. Well, some of the reason that we went with a midwife was I feel like that we were getting more attention, more faster response time. You felt more like a human being than just a number, and I guess that's not everyone's experience, but that was our experience because I feel like the healthcare system here is like, there's a lot going on. With the midwife you get like a very personal touch to
like I'll give you examples of the midwife versus gyno experience that I had, and with Credit Valley, like I said, there's 7 gynos, and they rotate, so you don't see one doctor all the time. You'll see different all ones. 7. And they'll try to introduce you to all 7 by the time you give birth. One of them will be there at the hospital. So that was kind of like what was weird to me. With the midwives, they were a team of 3 midwives, and I would get one of those for the labor. So I got to meet all 3, and they were really personal. And each appointment, let's compare them to the gyno. Gyno was like, each appointment was like 5-10 minutes max. He would just come in, check the heartbeat, baby's heartbeat, check my blood pressure, check my temperature, be like, okay, you're good, and like give me like a package of something that he has to give me, like here you go, more information on what's gonna happen later. Versus the midwives, they would sit down and they would talk to me about everything, like any questions that I had, also explain me what's coming up next, what we have to do next, what they recommend, and all this stuff. So it was very personalized, and I felt like I wasn't just a patient. And it was quite quick. Like they had you scheduled in, they would sit down and talk to you properly and all that stuff. So they really did care. I felt like they cared more than the
But
doctors.
you have to also just keep in mind how comfortable you are, because when you are in active labor, you will not have a doctor there, or nurses. It will be the midwives, 1 or 2 of them. But you are in a hospital setting, so in case something goes wrong, they have doctors on call, they have nurses available, and I feel like for us it was like midwives. This is what they do. They're specifically just going through the whole birthing process. And we're in a hospital, so we'd be fine, and they have all the equipment and everything available as well.
And then one more thing I wanted to note between the gyno and midwife is that midwife, it was mostly women, and so people who are religious and they want only a woman, you're more likely to get one easily with a midwife than
maybe not
doctor.
even just religious, but I mean comfort level too as well.
I personally felt so much more comfortable with a lady doctor, a lady midwife, than a male, and I felt like that would have changed my whole labor experience. If it was a male, I would feel less comfortable in that situation. So that was amazing with the midwives, and
Okay, next question: how did your routine change? So maybe I can answer this one. Currently there is no routine. There's just baby and us, and figuring it out, because it's only like about a week. We're about a week in right now, and a week in 1 day, so we don't know what a routine is. I think we're developing into one, hopefully this coming week, and we'll update you guys on that. Right now it's just baby and whatever we can make work works, right?
Honestly, I feel like the first couple of weeks with the newborn, you shouldn't even try to have a schedule or a routine. Just go with the flow and see how things go. I think that would stress you out more if you're trying to hit a routine or schedule and wanting to time everything and be perfect. I don't think it's that time period, that month. You should just give everything a break and just go with the flow.
Yeah. How did you relax? I feel like I'd be too nervous.
Relaxing during labor. I mean, while you're having the contractions, it's very hard to relax. If you have contractions that are not bad and they're mild, then yeah, you can definitely they tell you to sleep it through, and then get in a hot tub of water that will calm you down, listen to music, watch a show, just relax. But mine were really, really intense, and so I couldn't do anything, and I was just literally sitting on my bed and waiting for the next contraction and just breathing through it. Like, breathing did help me a lot, so like we watched a couple of breathing exercises, and that's the only thing that helped me during those things. And my heat pad, like I bought a heat pad off of Amazon, and it's literally just an electronic heat pad, and you have it plugged in, and I had it on my stomach and my legs the whole time because my contractions were pulling up on my legs as well. Like everything was hurting at that point. And so that helped. The heat helped a lot. Also, I got in did a hot shower, that helped a lot as well. But you can only stay in the shower for so long, and my contractions went for a really long time, so the hot heat pad really helped.
Tylenol helped, and I feel like one thing with the heat pad, just make sure it's not too hot, because remember, you'll still have your baby inside there.
Yeah.
But like for the backside, lower back.
Yeah, I had it on my
legs,
back most of the time, because they say not heat on
not too much. I mean, it's fine,
stomach.
but it's just you got to be a little careful.
Yeah.
We had also some Quran playing in the background.
Yeah.
You may choose to have whatever, but I felt in that moment that was something soothing to us. But you can choose whatever. I think it could be music or something of that sort that calms people a lot too. Next question: how bad was the pain? Sorry, baby. What did it feel like? Is it really as bad as people make it out to be?
Like I mentioned, for me, the contractions were really bad. But honestly, once you kind of go through the whole process and it's done, the day you have your baby in your arm and you go home, your body, your mind starts to forget the pain. Like, the baby is so cute that you're like, oh my god, I want more of these. And I feel like maybe it's just a woman thing, that like your body is made to do this, and your mind just makes up for it in different ways, and the pain doesn't matter in the end of the day. Obviously while you're in it, it's intense, but once you're done, it's all over and done with, and you're not so scarred as people say, like, okay,
you'll be able to handle it.
Bad.
See, like
it's fine. Our bodies are made for this. We were made to do this, and so I think you trust in your bodies. That's the best advice I got, honestly, about like how to stay calm during this whole labor process and not freak out, is the fact that I kept reminding myself, this is what my body is meant to do, and so why am I scared? You know what I mean? Like, we're supposed to go through this process, and so I just have to trust in myself and in my body to get through this.
How dilated were you once you got your epidural? So I think 3 or 4 centimeters.
Yeah, as soon as we got to the hospital, you can only go to the hospital once you're 4 centimeters.
Yeah, at least
right now,
because
of COVID regulations
yeah.
in Canadian hospitals.
How long was your active labor before the epidural? I was going on active labor for a few days, I guess, right?
No, so active labor is like every 2, 3, 4 minutes you're having a contraction and your cervix is dilating, but it's like usually after 4 centimeters. So I had my epidural right when the active labor process began.
Was epidural numbness still there when you gave birth?
Yes, it was. Even after giving birth, they wouldn't let me walk on my own. The midwives actually held me after, because you can't. Your feet are like all like wobbly after because of the epidural, and it wears off in an hour after giving birth.
Delivery experience. Okay, we talked about that. Who cut the cord? Moi. Me. It was honestly, I thought it would be more gruesome than it actually was. It was tiny cord. Yeah, you cut it, a little bit of blood comes out, but in that moment, trust me, that's the last thing you're thinking about. You're thinking about your wife. You're thinking
about the
baby. That's what you're really thinking about. But it's an experience I won't forget, and I'm happy that I really got to do it. Next question. Did you ask for delayed cord clamping? Very
Yes,
good
we
question. And yes, we did. I think that's the best thing you can do if they allow you to.
With current research, they say delayed cord clamping is good, and so the midwives had recommended it to us, but they left it on us, and we said, yeah, why not? It's just waiting till the cord stops pumping all the blood and whatever nutrients is left over to the baby, and once it starts moving, and that's when they just clamp it and cut it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Can you? Okay. Did you have a C-section?
Did I have a C-section? No. So I had a natural birth. Thankfully, everything went smoothly. But even if I had a C-section, at one point, the midwife thought I might need a C-section. If the baby's heart kept dropping, then she would have recommended we do a C-section. But the process went smoothly in the end, and she was able to help me do a natural birth, and
so there was another question about did it go as planned? Technically not, because we were expecting dilation to come in. When we were at the hospital for many hours, she was still only dilated 4 or 5 centimeters. Around 6 p.m. she was born at 8:31. 6 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. we were worried that the oxytocin, I guess that's what it was inducing labor. We needed to take that, otherwise it would be a C-section. There was no other choice. Wasn't as working as fast as we thought, but luckily by 6 p.m. when it was her last checkup, otherwise prepared for C-section, she had dilated enough that we can go into active labor, which started around 7:38 or something like that.
Yeah. So oxytocin, if you don't know, is basically a contraction inducing hormone and medication or whatever it is, and they give it to you so my contractions would be even harder. But I had the epidural, so I wasn't feeling anything, and she was just trying to get my me to dilate enough that we can start doing the
pushing.
Yeah, we can start pushing.
Okay, how much weight did you gain during your pregnancy, weight before, and I guess last week or current week?
So I gained about 40 pounds during my pregnancy, and I was pretty skinny before, so I'm glad I gained all the weight that I did. And now I lost about
easily 10-12 pounds.
I've lost about 17 pounds.
Oh, even more, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. 17 pounds since I've given birth, and I'm on day 9. It's obviously most of the weight, some of it is the baby and everything else, but yeah, I'm gonna now try to maintain my weight as much as I can to this, because I want to just keep it.
Are you sleeping okay? Sleep after newborn is so disrupted.
So the first couple of days, Usama and I were not sleeping as much. He was barely getting any sleep. I was barely getting any sleep. It was 2-3 hours, and we were good.
We're talking about 36 hours, 2-3 hours.
Yeah, 2-3 hours. And then once we got home, Usama's family really helped us out. They kind of would take care of her while she's sleeping, so we could get that 2-3 hours in between, and kind of do that throughout the day, and then it'd collect up to 6-7 hours. So it's little breaks. You don't get that full 8 hours all together like you would before a baby, but you can get those little bits of sleep here and there, and then it just adds up, and it's good enough for both of us.
First 48 hours, it's tough though, and if you don't have family there, then I would really recommend that you'll have to alternate somehow, because after 36 hours, no matter how much you try to keep your eyes open, you're literally just going like this. You'll fall over, both of you. But for some reason, I feel like giving after birth, women seem to be more alert. You were more alert, more aware. I don't know if it's the adrenaline or what.
I'm a very sleepy person, you could say. I love my sleep, and I could sleep for 12 hours straight. I was like, this is gonna be so hard, but honestly, I don't know where I'm getting all this energy from. But I stay up all night with her, and it just comes from somewhere. But I guess it's just the mom concern that keeps me up. So yeah.
Next question: how to look cute when giving birth, like hair and makeup?
So,
important question.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look cute when you're giving birth, just do your makeup before your contractions get really bad.
I think so that's a good point. But you did it basically before we have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, so I did it right before we're going to the hospital.
So I don't know how you did it with those contractions.
So I had contractions coming every 2 minutes, and I was like, okay, gotta put on some concealer, and that's pretty much like I just put on concealer, and that's it. Like, I didn't even put on lip gloss.
Yeah, I was telling you, I'm like, don't worry about it, but I felt like you did it took you like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it took me like 5 minutes, like literally just put concealer under my eyes and rubbed it all over, and I was like, I'm done, I'm set, let's go. But if you want to do a full makeup routine, wait till you get an epidural and you're good. Like, time. You will just be chilling on the bed anyway, so you can just go ahead and do your whole hair makeup while you have your epidural. You have like 2-3 hours before you go into active labor anyways, minimum. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. How is your and Usama's life changed after Xyra?
How has it changed?
We're still in no routine mode. I think we're still like, it's still like hitting us that we have a baby. Like, we know obviously we have a baby, but it's something that we can't explain. You gotta experience it, and I think it'll never be the same again.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever be the same again.
In a good way.
It changes you as a person. You instead of worrying about yourself, you have something that is so precious that you're scared for. Like, before, I wasn't really scared for me as much, or like, you know, like my life or anything like that. But now I have like an entire human being that I'm like worried about, and like constantly, now I think about the future more, like with her, for her, and like how can I make it better for her, versus before I didn't think about the future as much. Yeah, I feel, right?
Changes, it's something that can't be explained, but it's in a good way. That's what I can say overall. Yeah. How did your husband react to everything that you were going through?
Usama was really, really there for me. I don't know, I have heard a lot of experiences from other women who've had a very hard time because their husbands weren't as involved in the thing. But what I would recommend is involve your husband from the start. Kind of do research, educate both him and yourself, not just yourself. Get him to read some articles, you read some articles, watch some YouTube videos together on the whole birthing process. I think that really helped both Usama and I during that end process during labor, because he knew so much and I knew so much. We both did our research that I was I could just like relax and be like, okay, he knows. And he knew exactly what to do during the whole labor process. So it was very comforting for me. And yeah, I mean, I think the best thing is education. Educate yourself, educate your spouse or your partner. And that's the best way through even raising a child together. Like,
I also think what they're referring to is like, how was it, like, I think during the active labor and that whole thing too, right? Like, not just the whole journey.
Usama's reaction to the actual thing. I mean, you tell them, Usama, what did you think about
honestly,
it? If you could get a free pass out of not being at the hospital.
So I was considering that beforehand, before the whole COVID situation. I guess we didn't know what we were going into, but when we used to have talks about babies and this, that, but because of COVID, there was only one choice, and that was going to be me being there and going inside that room. There was no one else allowed. So I kind of was like, okay, just deal with it. There's no other choice. And I was like, it can't be that bad. But I did have some concerns about, how I'm going to react. Am I going to faint? Is this going to be like, what's going to happen? But at the end of the day, I think like when you see your spouse or, your loved one in pain like that, I think you just go into a mode where you want to be as supportive as possible, and you get through it. And I would never go back. I don't regret anything that I went through the whole experience of the labor room, everything. I'm ready to do it again, honestly. If you want to feel alive, you got to be in a labor room and like to experience what the miracle of God is like. Be there and see it. It's just it's unreal. And I think I reacted well to it.
Oh yeah,
I felt like I'm not scarred or anything. I mean, I was more by where Sana was, and I was like talking to her in her ear and like coaching, I guess what they call, and like go.
Telling her to breathe through it.
And then the nurses and the midwives were on the other side, But at the same time, yeah, you will get to see some stuff that maybe you don't want to. If you're like, squeamish with blood, then maybe it's a thing that don't be there if it's really that bad. If you're like that, then avoid it. But if you have the opportunity and you have the willingness, then definitely as a guy, be there, go there, and do it. There's other ways. If you don't want to be there, you're not comfortable, it's okay. If you can experience it, definitely do it. Has your relationship changed with your husband?
My relationship changed with Usama. It hasn't changed with him. I would say it's more evolved into a new kind of feeling where both of us are always like concerned about Xyra, and it's really cute. I get to see him be a father and he gets to see me be a mother, and it's just such a cute process.
Like a balancing point.
I don't know, I like it.
It's a mutual thing that we both love and adore and pulls at our strings, so it just makes the relationship that much stronger, I feel. If you could have someone else with you during labor, who would it be?
If it wasn't Usama, then I would probably take my mom with me.
Or even an extra, if you can have more than one person.
Yeah, it would be my mom.
Mm-hmm. Are you glad you chose Usama to be present with you during your labor?
It's the same thing.
Okay. Next question. Are you breastfeeding? How has it been?
So yes, I've been breastfeeding as well as also been feeding her Infamil. So it's like a formula.
Mm-hmm.
So she's formula and breastfed currently. I'm aiming to breastfeed her completely, but we'll see, inshallah, if that happens. Just because Xyra had a little bit of jaundice in the beginning, and also she stopped peeing for a couple of hours.
It was a whole day, I think.
Yeah, she stopped peeing for 24 hours, and the doctor and the midwife got concerned, and so they were like, you need to put her, give her formula right away.
Yeah.
She needs liquids in her body.
To push the jaundice out and just to be hydrated. She was dehydrated at that point.
And at that day she was like 2 days old or 3 days? Yeah, so she was very, very weak at that point. So yeah, we definitely did not argue at that point, because our goal was to just breastfeed her, but it doesn't matter, your plans change, it's no biggie, and you obviously have to do what you have to do in order to keep your child healthy and safe.
Yeah, there's a whole video I did with my dad as well. If you can understand Hindi or Urdu, I would suggest that you check it out. I can link it probably below as well, on the whole topic of formula feeding, breastfeeding, and the reasons why you have to, might have to do multiple things. If you can breastfeed, I think it's the best thing that you can do. That's basically from our research, the nurses, the doctors, they all say
it's the best thing for the baby, but in certain circumstances it doesn't happen, and that's okay. Don't beat yourself over it.
Do what you can for your baby.
Do what you can for the situation that you're in. Okay, please show us 1 week postpartum stomach. So I guess I can show you guys. I don't know if they're gonna be able to see it from here, or
you have to stand up.
maybe I stand up
sideways.
So this is my tummy.
It's pretty tiny.
1 week later.
It used to be out here.
Yeah, and it went down really quickly. I mean, everybody is different. Everybody's body is different, and this is my tummy now. It was like this big, and now it's like this tiny. It's so funny and weird, but yeah, that's my postpartum stomach.
Are you suffering with chest soreness and abdominal pains after delivery?
Yes, the first week, it wasn't really like painful, like I can't bear it. They did recommend I take Advil and Tylenol. So they started giving me Advil and Tylenol at the hospital right after birth, because the epidural wears off. And so you're basically on Advil and Tylenol to take care of the pain, and you can take it every 4 hours. And that helped a lot. And slowly, I noticed that every day my body heals and becomes a little better. And I don't have to take the Advil as much right now. I haven't taken it for, I think, like 2 days now. But everybody is different. Again, like I say, some people might have a lot more and some people might have a lot less or none. But for me, it was like in the middle.
Next question. Was it easy for baby to latch?
Yes. Thankfully, I didn't have a very bad experience. I've heard of so many moms struggling to latch their babies on to breastfeed, and that's one of the biggest issues with breastfeeding your baby. But Xyra just like came on, and she was just like a pro at it. So I did not have to struggle with that. And yeah.
How was it? How was the first moment you saw your princess?
Okay, so there's two stories to this. There's the first time I saw her and they put her on my chest, I was just like overwhelmed. I was like, oh my god. You guys saw the video too from our past labor official birth vlog. You guys saw my reaction to it. You saw Usama's reaction to it. And I kind of cried a little and I was just like amazed by the whole process. And then the second part that you guys didn't see was that when she came out, she did not cry. And when they put her on my chest, the midwife started kind of tapping her butt to make her cry, and she wasn't crying. And then it was 30 seconds went by, 40 seconds went by, and 40 seconds is a long time when you're
seems
worried.
like forever.
Yeah. And so we're like, why is she not crying? Why is she not crying? And she just had her eyes open, and that's it. And she wasn't even blinking. And so I started to freak out. And I'm like, Xyra, it's okay. Are you okay? Are you okay? And Usama's beside me. And he's like,
Bismillah.
yeah, he's like, Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah. And I start reading du'as and start blowing it on her. And I'm like, obviously you're so scared. And so the midwife, at that point, because they want to do skin-to-skin contact right after the baby's born and keep her on the mom for at least an hour before moving her. But because she did not cry, they got worried, and so she was like, okay, let me just take her from you and I'll check her and I'll bring her back and see what's wrong. So when she picks her up from my chest, right away, she starts crying. And they're like, oh, there it is. And our
sigh of
we
relief.
just freaking it was
I was trying not to.
creepy.
Yeah, I saw your face, and I was like,
so
you're I could see it in your eyes. I just didn't want to say anything because I was like, there has to be other procedures. Maybe they have to pump something out of her. So I just didn't want to freak you out by being like, oh my god, right? I didn't want to be but anyways, you handled it well, and I think we got through it. And that was probably the biggest scare.
That was one of the scary parts.
The scariest part.
She just scared her mom and dad as soon as she came out.
Okay. Does Usama wake up during night feeds? Yeah, we'll get her food. I think we'll pass her on to your mom. Does Usama wake up during night feeds?
Yes, he does. Sometimes he just I'll sleep and then I'll stay up for a couple of hours, and then when I'm about to fall asleep, then I'll be like, okay, Usama, and he'll wake up and then he'll take over and then I'll sleep. So we've been kind of switching at nighttime, doing that.
Back and forth, honestly. It's a team effort, I think, and family effort. It takes a whole community sometimes to raise a child, I guess, if you heard that saying. Would you say the red raspberry leaf tea helped? And I think we can say, what about those milk cookies and the milk teas, all of that?
There's a lot of stuff online that people say helps you to bring on labor, and then there's a lot of stuff that people recommend that helps you bring on breast milk. So those two things, I did almost all of them. To bring on labor, there was a red raspberry leaf tea that they said people told me heat milk and put ghee in it and drink that. Walking a lot helps bring on labor. Walk up and down the stairs. Do these labor-inducing exercises that you see on YouTube. Tried that. Get on a ball, those exercise balls, and do that. So I did a couple of things to bring on labor, and honestly, I don't know what it was that brought on the labor, but I feel like you can do all of them, and if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I tried all of them, and she was born a day after her due date. So I don't know if it was one of those things, all of those things combined, or if it was just my body's ready to have her.
I think just do what you feel like.
Do what you feel like.
There's certain things that the midwives did recommend for milk production. There's I forgot the name of
so
it.
for breast milk, they say that you can have thistle tea and fennel seed tea.
Yeah.
So fenugreek.
No, those are teas, and they're also capsules.
Yeah, so fenugreek and thistle really help bring on the milk. So those are some of the recommendations. Again, there's no harm in trying them. They're organic things. So if you want to try them, go ahead, try them. If you don't. But yeah.
What advice would you give to first-time moms for labor and post-labor?
I would just say,
relax. I think try to sleep as much as possible, rest as much as possible.
Yeah, get your sleep in before And I mean, just trust your body. You are made to do this and you can get through it. That's basically the best advice that I personally felt I got.
Is there anything you would have done differently during labor?
No, there's nothing. Now that I look back at it, there's nothing I would want to do different.
Perfect. The next question actually goes with the last. Did it go the way you planned it? Because mine didn't for sure.
So no, ours didn't go as planned either. Like everybody plans for a perfect journey and experience and no issues, but sometimes that's not the case. Maybe most of the times it's not the case. It's not going to be a perfect ride, but that's what makes it unique to you, and it's your own story.
I know. Okay, let me take her for milk.
Yeah.
Let's pause it there. It's okay. All right. How are the baby blues for you?
So baby blues, I haven't felt them yet. I have been a little more emotional in the sense that I guess I'm always worried about the baby, but that's pretty much it. I haven't had any baby blues in terms of me feeling depressed. Not yet, at least. Maybe later on. They can always come on, but I haven't felt it yet. So thankfully, that's good for me.
What kind of food are you eating for recovery?
For recovery, it's mostly home food. Trying not to eat outside food as much. Trying to stay healthy. Eating fruits, vegetables, drinking a lot of water, as well as having some like bone broth and good chicken stews and stuff like that. That's pretty much what I've been eating.
How did you come up with her name? Did you have any other in mind? Now the other name that we had in mind was Isla. That was Sana's choice, and then we opted to go for Xyra for the meaning and how it flowed, and
I just liked how it went with her last name as well. So
everything worked out for that. Did you think you packed enough or forgot anything essential? When your gear of stuff?
No, I think we packed more than necessary.
And I think that's better. It is annoying, by the way, to carry like I had a bag, she had a bag, like a rolling bag, then she had her purse, and then we had a baby bag, and then we forgot about food, so we had 1 or 2 shopping bags of food, and it was a lot, so it took a couple of trips, especially when I didn't have help, right? Mm-hmm. So I'd go in and out, but I think it was worth it because we didn't feel, we were missing anything.
Yeah.
Any tips for after birth recovery? Rest, maybe? Eat?
Yeah, just rest,
try to relax,
eat, and take care of your baby and let everybody else kind of take care of you. Mm-hmm. At least your like partner or spouse. That's what the nurses told us right when we left the hospital.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable asking for help?
Yeah, I do, with Usama obviously, and with my family and his family too. Like it's something that you can do alone. Yeah. So you need.
I feel like also though, family members should also be aware of it. Step up because I think maybe for women they might not want to ask or feel bad about it. I think it's also a responsibility sometimes for family if they care to step up. And luckily our family are dying to help in any way possible. Yeah. Which is nice.
And my mom's been helping with food as well because we just came to my mom's house. We were staying at his house at first, so she was just dropping off food for me, and then his mom was just helping with taking care of Xyra. So those two things, like on its own, like help a lot.
Okay, so did you opt to choose your umbilical cord? I'm guessing that they were asking if we kept it, and did we use the placenta?
So we did not keep the placenta, use that, or the umbilical.
We actually had a whole video on it where we were going to do that, and then later realized that it was actually probably not going to be worth it because the stats just don't make sense on it.
Yeah.
Did you feel a weird adrenaline rush after you gave birth, or were you tired, exhausted?
I did feel a weird rush after giving birth. Like I wanted to take care of her, and
she was awake and active and alert. Like, it's not like the movies. I wish like someone would just say that it's not like the movies. I remember Xyra being there for day 2 when you were in labor. He's like, it's not like the movies, and definitely it isn't. It's slower.
He was like, I thought it would just happen, like when it happens right away, and it's like, nope, it doesn't work that way.
So the whole movie thing, maybe in some cases, but not in ours.
Okay, guys, so that was it for our Q&A for our labor and birth story, my labor and birth story. And I hope that helped some of you guys who asked all those questions and wanted to know all the stuff.
Hopefully that was informative for you guys, and it helped you guys in some way or form. We'll keep up with more videos. Let us know what kind of videos you want us to film. We're kind of just enjoying our time right now. Remember, subscribe, like, and comment whenever you can. That's how you can show that you support us and our channel. See you guys next time. Bye.